Hey everyone, Danielle here from the Obstacle Doc, and today we're going to talk about spinal flexion and extension from flexion. So a lot of times if you're feeling maybe some stiffness through the back, whether that's the cervical, thoracic, lumbar spine, this can be a really nice breakout in your day, just got a little bit of added mobility. This can also be really helpful for understanding where we're actually holding ourselves in space. So if we're having difficulty with those planks, just general postural stability, core stability, holding ourselves in neutral. This is a really nice exercise to break out the vertebral segments, but also get you understanding how to come up in a nice smooth motion from being in a flex position. So I might reference this as segmental flexion as well, but this is using all of those muscles that run along the spinal column, and it's just a really nice overall way to kind of warm up the spine for some movement. So I'm gonna have Christopher demo first, and then I'll show some breakout if this is a little bit taxing or if there's areas of unique stiffness that we need to tease out. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna stand in neutral to begin with, a nice bend in your knees. This is not meant to be a hamstring or a hip extension really activity. This is not a flexibility challenge, so please give yourself some grace in your knees so that you're not pulling on those hammies. So we are gonna start as slowly as you can. Think of those like wooden snakes that kind of like go like that. So we are gonna start from the head. You're gonna start with the cervical spine. So we're tucking the chin as much as we can. And what you don't wanna do is let one spinal column move, or sorry, one vertebral column move before the one below it. So imagining that my hands are here, he's gonna try to bend over this hand without letting the segment below him go. So keep trying to bend over, keep going. So he is going into spinal flexion in a controlled state, kind of segment by segment. And then once he starts to get into this lumbar, we want to make sure that the pelvis rotates with him and let your knees bend so you're not pulling on those hamstrings. Let them bend even more, bend those hands. Yep. So once he is all the way at the bottom, we're going to reverse it. But we want to make sure that one segment here does not come out before the segment below it. So he's going to start by trying to pull through the rotation of that lumbar, coming up from, not too fast, a little bit more here before the one above it, perfect. And then his head should be the absolute last thing to come up. You saw how slowly he's going. That's exactly how the pace of this should be. It is not a fast movement. I would argue that you actually want to go the slower the better. We want to keep that under control. This is a really good example of what a little bit of a stiff thoracic spine might feel like. So this does not in general have a lot of movement. If you're sitting at a desk very often, if you do any kind of overhead activities, this segment especially might be kind of pulled down by some of that musculature. So I'm going to show you a breakout for what to do if you're having any specific or unique areas of stiffness. Okay, so one of the breakouts that you can do is actually with a little bit of tactile cueing from either the wall. If you are at a CrossFit box or gym, you can use a rig. So give yourself enough space that your feet are out comfortably in front of you, and you can have your tailbone on the back of the rig or on that wall. And what we're going to do is I'm just going to decide to focus from basically above my rib cage. So I'm going to tuck my chin down and then slowly peel off of the rig. And if this is as far as I want to go, I can work on just peeling back up. So working on repetition, at least 5, probably 7 to 10 is going to be my recommendation. So working on peeling down, and this is really helpful because I can feel as each segment comes up that I'm not doing one of these where obviously my head is coming up before the rest of my back is hitting that cue. If we start to feel a little bit more loose through that thoracic spine, if the thoracic spine was being a little bit stiff on us, you can get a little bit closer. So tailbone is still hitting that back, that wall, that rig, and we can start to take it from the top, slowly coming down. Again, I'm going to give some bend to my knees, so I'm not forcing those hamstrings to do anything I don't want them to do. And I'm going to take it all the way down. If you want to hang out at the bottom, strain your knees, that's totally cool. That is 100% up to you. And then again, taking from the lumbar, thinking of rotating back first, and then slowly coming up one vertebra at a time, continuing to breathe all the way through. Let the head be the last thing to come up. Don't be surprised if you get a little red in the face. It's totally natural. But this is, again, excellent way to start to break up some of that stiffness and get you into that comfortable postural neutral stability.